want the bets from Betting Weekly, because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet Rivers sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Oh, welcome in everyone to a new week of Betting Weekly Live. Christmas is on its way. Jack Wright is here, and we are going to discuss several key soccer games across Europe, UK today, and also an extra bonus. Jack's going to give us some plays for Boxing Day in the English lower leagues. So, Jack Wright, you're looking very Christmassy today. I like that jumper you've got on.
Thank you very much. It's very, very nice and warm. I was hoping Mariah Carey was going to come on and do a special intro music complete with sleigh bells, but not to be. Maybe that will come in the next day or two. But yes, welcome everyone. And hi, Steve. Thanks for having me on this special occasion.
Is that Rudolph on your jumper there?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a bit of Rudolph.
Which is your favourite reindeer?
Blitzen.
Yeah, good answer.
Yours?
Well, I've always liked Rudolph, plain simple, really. But
Yeah,
Donner's not too bad.
He's special teams, though, isn't he, Rudolph? He only comes out. He's not part of the actual, the main team. He's just there. He's like a bit of a punter.
Yeah. Well, they all have their own role, as everyone does in various different aspects of soccer, in various aspects of this team itself here on Because We Win. Welcome in, Andy Smith. Ming Chung, happy holidays to you as well. Felix, Kevin as well. Great to see you. Hey, predictions. Hello to you. Cree 357. City under 1.5 goals is plus 100. Chelsea or Arsenal couldn't score two, but City can. Duncan Evans, good to see you. Is Jack going to give us some E17?
Duncan, stay now, and you might be lucky.
Is that a Christmas song?
It's got sleigh bells in it. It's got the bells. I heard actually Tony Mortimer talking about this, saying it wasn't a Christmas song. He actually said what it was about and the fact he wrote it in July. But then they said this would make a great Christmas song, so they just put a little bit of bells on it, dressed them up in those Eskimo coats, put them in the snow. Voila, made him for life.
I think I hear that song more than any other on. When you're walking around town or at the gym, that is always on. More than I don't mind it, thankfully. I don't mind it. But it's always on. I can never escape that song whatsoever. Yeah. Anyway, Felix Pate is on. Benfica to win both halves tonight. We are going to discuss the Portuguese League today. It's not often the Portuguese League gets to go on at Because We Win Live, but today is the day. We are going to start off, though, with the early match on the card. We've got two matches in Serie A, and then we've got Birmingham City in action in England. But Fiorentina Udinese. Now, I said we actually previewed this game on the European show on Betting Weekly Extra Time European Edition with me, James, and Dan. And the same thing applies for me here. I really think the bet is Fiorentina on the -1 Asian handicap. It would be one of my better bets of the day. Full refund if they win by 1 goal exactly. The -180 on the money line, but you can get -103 on Fiorentina, -1 Asian handicap. I've given my thoughts about Udinese on the weekend show there. I just think they're bang average, mediocre, nothing special about them. Struggle against better teams. They're fine, generally fine against the poorer teams. But I would be very surprised if Fiorentina don't get the job done here. They've got a pretty good home record and usually have got a few goals in them. The only concern is it's been a really hectic sort of period for them. They've been involved in Europe, but I suppose they've been used to that for the last 2 or 3 years. I would be really surprised if they don't at least win the game. By how many, that's a different question entirely. But the -1 Asian handicap does give you those bits of security. You've also got a bit of a play on this game, Jack. You've got in creative, you get in quite a big plus money odds there.
Yeah, I was on the same page as you, really, Steve. I was thinking I wanted to get Fiorentina on side. I wasn't going to play them on the money line there. So you either go down a route, as you said, of the Asian handicap, or throw in if you think possibly their opponents can grab a goal. And I just felt that I saw someone comment there about the injury list. There we go. Lovric, Okoye, Zaraga all out, amongst others. That could be a blow to my line of thinking, in the fact that we take Fiorentina to win and both teams to score. But it's a plus 205, so I thought that was worth a little play because it's a massive boost on the price. Fiorentina, as you said, have been working hard over the last few weeks, travels across Europe. Had a little blip, haven't they? The last couple haven't had a stunning run. That kind of got halted a little bit in the last couple of games. So I just wonder if there's a little bit of vulnerability there that we could exploit with Udinese just to get on the score sheet. So that Fiorentina have been stunning at home, 9 points off the top with 2 games in hand. So this is a huge game for them tonight to keep up with the league leaders. So unbeaten in 19 home games across all competitions, won the last 5 in the league, and this bet's cashed in 4 of them. So yeah, both teams scoring with Fiorentina winning. And so Udinese, we don't really need to sell that sizzle to sell that sausage, is it? But no clean sheet from 9 road games for them. Lost 5 of the last 7. Only failed to score rarely in Serie A. They normally get on the score sheet. So yeah, that was my line of attack.
That's plus 205. To be fair, I don't think anyone can really knock that bet because that's probably bigger than you would expect. You'd expect it to be about plus 150 or plus 160 even, wouldn't you?
Sometimes with these bets, isn't it? You put in either both teams to score yes or both teams to score no, and sometimes it can have such a massive impact on the price that it really does make it worthwhile. So worth having a little look around that. As I say, I think the Asian handicap is a solid way in. If you have maybe a smaller stake and want a little bit more juice, then possibly have a look at another option. But I think yours is the very solid play, and mine's a little bit more fancy.
Yeah, 3-1 would do us very nicely in that game. It would do for limited benefits. He's going Fiorentina and under 3.5 goals, a plus 147. I think it all depends whether you think Udinese are going to score in this game, really, depending whatever bet you want to take on it. I don't think there's going to be too many people taking Udinese on the money line or double chance or the handicap, really, if we're being truly honest. They've not shown enough recently to warrant. I mean, they beat Monza away. Monza are bottom of the table. I don't think, and aside from that, it's been a really rough run for Udinese. They're not shockingly bad, but they're not good, are they? Really, either. Kingsley, good to see you. Forget Mariah Carey, let Jack take centre stage. And as Felix said, there are some injuries for Udinese as well. Paul Laguna, great to see you. Babath KK, will Udinese score? Jack thinks he does. Thinks they do. I'm like toss of a coin. I don't know. Well, hopefully they do for Jack's bet. But only one goal. Disky Stats, great to see you. Chris Graham, good to see you too. And he's mentioned something like the E17 song there. We've got another Serie A game to mention here, and Inter. I mean, I was looking at this, and there's been a bit of a move towards Como actually since the lines were released, and Inter Milan now are minus 335 on the money line. Como plus 900. Over 2.5 goals at minus 165. I mean, Inter just won at Lazio 6-0.
Yeah, incredible.
A real statement win. So, I mean, Inter minus 1.5 Asian handicap. That's at minus 115. Inter win to 0 minus 110. I mean, what's to stop people betting on that? I mean, the more I was thinking about it, it's such an obvious play. Maybe, what am I worried about here? That Como are a newly promoted team.
Yeah,
the 1-0 would worry. The 1-0 would worry me if you are taking the handicap, but then you've got win to 0 as an option at minus 110. What do you think here?
I was then looking actually as you were then talking just to see the price move. It's minus 107, I think, for minus 1.5 Asian handicap now.
Minus 107 now, right? Well, I mean, what's that?
Yeah. So that's very appealing, isn't it? I was just seeing if it was coming within scope because I was kind of looking through those today, and a bit similar to the Premier League games over the coming days. you're a bit skinny as far as trying to back those strong home favourites are concerned. How do we get them on board? What methods are you going to use? And that now, as I say, certainly becomes a viable play that Inter Milan aren't going to want to try and win by a goal. You know, they'll take it obviously, but you want that security, don't you, of another goal? So yeah, I think that -1.5 certainly becomes a viable play now at -107.
Hey predictions as Como +2 on the Asian. Never lost by more than 2 goals in Serie A apart from the Lazio game. I mean, that I guess might be the reason why there is a bit of generosity on the handicap for Inter. But Inter are, I mean, for me, Inter are the best team in Italy still.
Yeah.
And for me, it's by a distance.
When Inter catch, they catch, don't they? That's the thing. We saw it, as I say, it was last Monday, wasn't it? So a week ago that they absolutely dismantled Lazio, and then they had the midweek win in Coppa Italia as well. Was 2-0, I think, wasn't it? So again, they're just such a solid, consistent team, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Winter nil is going to be my bet for the game at -110 because it is a period where these teams sometimes just want to win. Como, maybe we do have to respect them a little bit, but I think it's asking a hell of a lot to go to San Siro and actually certainly avoid defeat.
Fabregas has done a great job there. Like, say they're newly promoted, and he's obviously gone in there, and there's some decent support there to get him on board and that. But let's say it's not easy to get them in that kind of mid-table, in that mid pack. So fair play to him on that respect.
Yeah, I agree with Felix there. I think into Winter nil. I mean, he's got there +125. That's a nice ticket to have. I think anything around evens there or just shy of evens is fine. Disky likes under 2.5 goals in the Udinese games. They like to park the bus. James F is on over 1.25 first half. There's a few different sort of opinions.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
There is. There's going to be quite a bit of money wagered on this game, I think, because of the high-profile nature of Inter. And this is the later kickoff in the day for Serie A. Yeah, this is at 2:45 Eastern.
There's one there for the old XG enthusiast. Hey, has just come in with that one saying Inter scored 6, but it's from an expected goal to 2. To be fair, you don't normally get massive XG, do you? With even with like 3-4 goals, but that is low to only get.
What I will say is though, right, in any league in the world, right, and you could argue that actually this is even more prevalent when the level of quality of players is higher. Can we not expect the best teams to just simply outperform their XG numbers at both ends of the field because they've got players who can score low XG chances? They've got goalkeepers who can make these great saves. Do we have to? I just think with the best teams we have to factor that in. That all right, 6 from 2 XG is probably a bit extreme, but if they scored say 4 from a 2 XG, I don't think that's particularly. Is it that unusual for a top quality team? This is the great XG debate, Jack. We need like a whole show on XG. We need get Nigel on there. Get
he'd love it. Yeah,
be a hell of a 4-way debate, wouldn't it? Which direction you go?
As I said, I think you normally, if you're scoring 6 goals in a game, there's normally 1 or 2 of them are not say worldies, but they're outside the box or they're kind of ones that are ranking about 0.3, aren't they? So you're then automatically going to be, 2 goals for probably less than half a goal. So yeah, that is the debate. So we could go on. We certainly could.
You've got to play a prop for this game, but you're going to suggest it's a lean. Is this a lean or an official pick or what? But just a player that. Well, he's been. I messaged you earlier and said try and test it for this player. Who do you like in the shots on target?
Yeah, Mark? It's DiMarco, -108 for a shot on target, and he's just super consistent, isn't he? So, you like these players that are prepared to have a go, and he's obviously very accurate as well. 11 shots on target in 15 games. He's had at least 1 in the last 10, and in each of the last 6. So. He says it's only Thuram and Martinez have had more shots on target than I just saw that flash up. Yeah, only had more shots on target than him for Inter this season.
Yeah, DiMarco is actually +102 now for a shot on target. Federico DiMarco. I mean, these. I was having a good conversation with someone the other day about. On what planet does 3 at the back work in a really top team these days, and I used Inter as the example, but I think the main reason for it is their wing backs are exceptional. I mean, Hey Dumfries. I think Dumfries in his position, which is a very specific right wing back role, I think he's probably maybe one of the best in the world. Some might disagree with me there, but I think they are exceptional in that system they play. 3 at the back isn't for everyone, but it does work for Inter.
Mate, you see these that like we've talked about a couple of the right backs, wing backs that they are effectively playing left or right side of midfield, aren't they? They're so advanced, especially against the sides at home, against these sides that they were expected to dominate. They are just, you look at the heat maps, they are so far advanced up the pitch that they are playing at worst as a wide midfielder, attacking midfielder, or as a winger. And we've seen it with some of these sides in the Premier League now, that you can pick up when you're playing the prop markets. You can pick up the right backs as they are, as in essence, you can pick up some brilliant prices on them to have shots on target.
Yeah, some interesting.
I don't know who this
here.
writing this on the Betting Weekly Studios account. I can't think who it might be.
There's a few who do have access to it, but I think we can presume it is Nigel. If you've got any questions about XG, you can ask Nigel on Boxing Day. Paul Laguna's mentioned there. We do have a live show. We're going to be starting at 9:30 Eastern, and we're going to be on air live for 2.5 hours covering the 5 afternoon kickoff games in the Premier League. Me and Nigel, we're going to be doing some live betting, all that sort of thing. Any questions, get them in. And XG, maybe we can get Nigel rocking and rolling about XG. The newsletter as well, that is going to be released soon. Subscribe to the newsletter. It's completely free if you've not already. I've put the link there in the chat. And we do have a Dojo and a Premier League episode out. So the content doesn't stop here at Betting Weekly Studios.
You've started a debate now. I'll tell you what, Steve, this is going to be the record comments ever on the live show at this rate.
I started this off in a Betting Weekly Extra Time show a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago now, and I just feel like it's not as simple as saying, oh, they're XG underperforming here, they're overperforming. And I was sucked into the trap myself for a while, but I think now you've got to be looking at it with so many different opinions and eyes, and it's not just about the numbers. But as you're very good with that, Jack, anyway. So not that I'm having a go at you or anything like that. But
right, use what stats you want, how you want, as long as it's working for you. Then, as I say, like some people are very reliant on it. Some people, I don't. You asked me the other week, didn't you? And I said it's not something I use. You probably use it more than me. I use it as a bit of a cross reference and as a kind of secondary to other things. But yeah, each to their own. As long as it works for you, whatever it is, then crap on it.
Absolutely. There's many different ways to get what you want out of things. I mean, I know you're more of a field tilt man.
Absolutely right. That field tilt will go on my tombstone.
Small. My blood. Right, there we go. I'm not going to pronounce the rest of that, but we just get in the Inter game. DiMarco shot on target. I've said Inter win 2-0 as well, and just check back through chat. And there's quite a few suggestions for the Inter game. So best of whatever you.
There could be a late goal there. Both those sides, by the way, concede a lot of late goals. So any in play, especially if it's still tight, any in play punters, then have a look at that. I think Inter conceded 7 they've conceded 15 goals this season in Serie A. 7 of those have come after the 80th minute, and only Como in Serie A have conceded more. They've conceded 8 after the 80th minute. So one to look out for if you're in play and the game is still in the balance. Check out Field Tilt first, though.
There's certain teams just have a knack of being involved in matches with late goals at both ends of the field. I think Bournemouth, for example, that, and maybe in the Premier League, things like that. And very happy holidays to you as well there, and everyone that's been watching. On the live shows this year, it's been absolutely fantastic. FGA football. I think you mentioned you just come out of your cave after a difficult weekend where you do have to go hunter gathering. You've got to find some food and scraps somewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe today is the day where
I've been to Tesco's today and there is literally scraps left. So get out there and go forage.
I hope you weren't searching for a turkey or something, Jack. Yeah, it's a bit late.
Absolutely not. You know me better than that. Yeah.
I certainly do. Yeah. Right. Let's get crack on here. But Birmingham City. This is the last significant. Is it the last significant match before Christmas in any English league? I think.
Yes.
And the honour's been given to Crawley Town against Birmingham. What a matchup! I mean,
Handpicked.
Birmingham are minus 315 here, away from home. In minus 345 now. By the way, they're absolutely getting back to the hill. Goodness me, they are. Is this a warranted price for Birmingham? I mean, over 2.5 goals is minus, I think, nearly minus 200 now, minus 195. That's really short for a League One game. But Birmingham are an unusual case. Obviously, they are a bit different. We've got to treat them, considering the squad they've got, a bit differently. But first and foremost, is this a fair price?
Minus 315. No, I don't think.
Minus
I don't think
345 now.
No, minus 345. No, obviously you can't back at that. What's the Asian line at this moment in time? Like that.
Well, I think you'll be knocking on the door at minus 1.75, won't it?
Yeah, I was going to say it must be around about that.
Check now. But
so for those of you,
1.5 at minus 112.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So for those of you not aware of Birmingham, they've basically got relegated last season from the Championship. They've got massive investment. A lot of it is US based. Tom Brady is part of that consortium that's involved in Birmingham, which has obviously raised their profile. It's also loaded a pile of money into the club. They're taking on Crawley tonight, who were relegation favourites last season in the 4th tier. They were expected to drop out of the Football League and into non-league in England, and they somehow, under Scott Lindsay, managed to have a very solid season, and it continued. People waited for them to drop off. It didn't. It got to Wembley, playoff final, won the playoff final, and here they are in League One. Scott Lindsay, as we mentioned on a previous show, has now gone to MK Dons to try and get them promoted out of League Two. And it's Rob Elliott now in charge at Crawley, who used to be a goalkeeper for Newcastle. Has cut his teeth in non-league football. They've plucked him out to try and keep them up, and he's actually done a decent job. He's very highly thought of as a coach. They're on a decent run up until just recently, last weekend, lost to Peterborough. They are in the relegation zone as a result of that, but they have 5 games unbeaten prior to that. They're tough to beat. They drew 3 on the spin, then they had 2 back-to-back wins until that defeat to Peterborough. That was 4-3, if my memory serves right. It was certainly high scoring. So they've got it in them to cause a bit of an upset here. And obviously it is at Crawley's ground. So it's, anyone who's taken that really, really heavy price on Birmingham, then good luck to you. As I said, they've got it obviously in the ability to do it, but they've got the chance to go top of the table tonight. Wycombe, who are top currently, have had a bit of a wobble. And they've drawn 3 of their last 4 games. So it's opened the door for Birmingham to go top. They're a couple of points behind. They've got 2 games in hand, which obviously one of them is tonight. And they said they spent a whole pile of money trying to get promoted straight back to the Championship. Rumour has it, obviously a lot of these deals are undisclosed, but they said that they broke the League One transfer record on 3 separate occasions during the summer. They spent somewhere in the region of $25 million, which for the level is incredible. To put that into context, the record signing at League One level prior to that was around $5 million. And that record signing, Jay Stansfield, who I put up as a selection in this game, cost, again, a reported $12.5 million with bonuses on top of that. That's reported that it could well double. They could be looking at around about $25 million for that deal in itself. With promotions, etc. It's miles more than any other League One side's ever dreamt of spending. And as I said, they haven't quite set the league on fire as was expected. Wrexham are just below them, obviously another kind of FC Hollywood side. They've drawn the last couple as well. So the door has been open for Birmingham. They've got a big opportunity to win tonight. Do I expect them to run rampage? I probably don't. So the plus handicaps on Crawley are probably more appealing than the minus handicaps on Birmingham. But what I would say is Jay Stansfield is a cut above this level. He should be playing at Championship level, but for the money he would be. He was signed from Fulham, Premier League, of course. And he was very well thought of there, but they just couldn't turn down that kind of money for an unproven striker with potential. So 10 goals in 13 League One games, 7 in his last 8. He scored in 6 of those games as well. And he's minus 106 to score tonight. So that would be my pick in this, because I do expect there should be goals in it. But as I say, as to which way, I'd probably go with Birmingham, but not at those prices. So Jay Stansfield for me is, they've bought about 4 strikers over summer, Alfie May being one of them. Lyndon Dykes, who's a Scottish international, another that Nigel will know well. There he is. Lisa Stansfield's brother, yes. So there we go. That's my pick anyway. That's the info on the League One game tonight.
There's a cricketer in my league who I think his name's Mark Stansfield, and his nickname was always Lisa.
Right.
But just looking back through the stats now, and there was Paul Laguna. Yeah, it was a good win for the Ravens yesterday. St. Nick, Merry Christmas to you as well. And Ross Golding,
thought it'd be busy.
Many congratulations. Just had a baby girl. She's a massive Liverpool fan. Good luck, charm, apparently. P.S. We love cats too. Yes, Ross, massive congrats.
It's a great musical.
I'll tell you what, there was an awful film version of it, though, a year or so ago. I watched it with the kids. It was horrendous.
Oh, was that the one with
Judi Dench?
James Corden in it?
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah. Jason Derulo.
We switched off after about halfway through. It was dire. Genuinely, Eric. Right. Duncan says both teams score in the Crawley game. Birmingham winning Jason Field over 1.5 shots on target, says Felix, plus 115. That could be an angle. I mean, we like Stansfield. If you do like Birmingham to win the game, I think probably makes sense to get on Stansfield in some form, whether, I don't know, score any time and Birmingham win or the shots on target route. I mean, that's the bet for you, Stansfield. Anytime score, minus 112, all right? And we just said how Birmingham have been backed in, but the Stansfield price hasn't really moved an awful lot. Sometimes that's the best angle with these games when you get a big favourite come in. Look at the goal scorers, or if it's NFL, look at the touchdown scorers, because the markets don't always move as they should do in correlation with the others until the last minute or something like that. Apparently, the owner of Crawley is a big XG man, a big US bettor against Tom Brady, so they're going to be up for this one. So I thought it's strange how Crawley Birmingham was on live here. There's got to be something more. The Birmingham City factor.
It's the crypto guys, isn't it? Crawley, they were the crypto guys. They everyone thought they were going to completely blow the club up, but it went the other way. They absolutely had it off, and so they got a good manager in Scott Lindsay, who dragged them from. Said they were relegation favourites last season, dragged them up. So fair play, and they've got Rob Elliott in, who's doing a decent job. When they're punching massively above their weight at the moment. So this is a prime example of it. But as you say, they'll be bang up for it tonight with those kind of subplots as well. And we'll have to see what happens. But I'll then quickly check. Both teams to score was minus 118. Again, I think that's got legs as well.
Chamu Mumbrezzi, Inter minus 1.5. Great to see you again, Chamu, in the chat. Hope you're doing really well. Brian says minus 1 Asian handicap double for Inter and Fiorentina at that's about plus 200. Plus 210 for him there. Yeah, it's not bad. Santa Claus Jack will not get Cole in his stocking. That's a lock. Going to be something a bit more exciting than that.
Yes. No Andy Cole.
Creed.
Cole Palmer.
Not Cole Palmer.
The puns keep coming.
Yeah, they keep coming. Creed's up to his eyeballs in college football, but he's going to expand to La Liga and Serie A. Join the club, Creed. It's an exciting club to be in. But even more exciting now, stay tuned for Jack's Boxing Day plays, some exclusive plays in the English lower leagues. But before that, we do have some Portuguese soccer on the card today. This is not often that this league is covered on the show, but there's a lack of other options, and it's a good league, actually. I wish I had more time to watch this league because it's a good technical league. We've got 3 fixtures on the card. Benfica, Estoril, Vitoria, Guimarães against Nacional de Madeira. They're the early games at 1:45 Eastern, and Estrela da Amadora against Rio Ave. I'm going to start us off with what is my best bet of the day. Comes in Portugal. It is the Vitoria game against Nacional. Now, I have had the pleasure of watching Vitoria quite a lot this season in the Conference League, and I do like what I see from them. They're a very well coached side. Just some interesting stats here. They've had 12 wins to 0 this season in all comps, and they've had 11 wins by 2 or more goals. So the 2 bets that I'm looking at here are the win to 0 at minus 112 and the minus 1.25 Asian handicap at minus 104. I'm actually going to take both because Nacional de Madeira are a dire away team. 2 points on the road. They've scored 2 goals on the road all season. And this isn't a surprise because for those who don't know, Nacional de Madeira are from an island. I mean, the island is actually Madeira, obviously. The airport on the island is named after Cristiano Ronaldo. Actually, it's one of the
What's it called?
I don't know what the exact terminology of it, but his name's in on it. It's one of the most scariest approaches. I've never been to Madeira, but apparently it is one of the scariest landings in Europe, where the airport is. But so that's obviously not great for them whenever they travel, is it? The opposite when teams come to Madeira, but they have a really poor away record, and I would expect Vitoria to, from what I've seen of them, they are a very good technical team. I mean, there's a lot, even the poor teams in Portugal are decent technically, but this should be a home win. And I think it's 2-0, and I think it's going to be 2-0 or 3-0. So if I had to, the best bet, it would be the handicap minus 1.25, just in case as a fluke goal. Any, random stuff can happen, can't it? In soccer to get a goal. So that is definitely the match that I'm targeting the most today. You are targeting Benfica against Estoril here. Benfica are a short price favourite, minus 16.67. Over 3.5 goals is minus 120 region. Someone popped in the chat earlier and said back in Benfica to score both halves. The handicap's minus 2.5, but you don't think it's big enough.
Mate, I'm going to keep it safe. I want to get a winner on the last live show for me before Christmas. I'm just going to go Benfica money line and keep my fingers crossed and see if it drops in.
10-pointer.
Indeed, add it. Well, that's right. Yeah. We've seen them on Twitter, haven't we? Like, this was a 50-unit play. No, none of that. I've actually gone Benfica minus 2.5. Yeah, it's a massive handicap. It's minus 104. I think it's a decent play. I actually like what you. I had written down a couple of plays on the others without any detail, but Vitoria Guimarães, I had win to 0 at minus 112. So there we are. Dan Roebuck told me to go for Benfica money line. That's what it was. But
that must be. Has Dan Roebuck hijacked the chat here? Because, it's Dan on the chat. I should go to Madeira, says Simon M. It's a beautiful island, and there was a scandal yesterday in the Sporting game. Apparently,
I saw that.
Apparently, it's a scary airport approach, very steep. But Gibraltar is probably worse. Never flown to Gibraltar either, but
I've only gone to Gibraltar by bus. That was safer.
People who used to work out. I think Nigel worked out at one point. But Felix says best bet is Benfica to win both halves at plus 100. The handicap minus 2.5. I mean, you're expecting quite a big win here for Benfica, aren't you? Overall.
Yeah. I just looked through it, and they've got a massive, as you'd expect. I think you look at Portugal, you've got Benfica, you've got Sporting, you've got Porto, those sides that generally then when they go against the lesser lights, they get the job done pretty convincingly. Benfica won 15 in the last 16 meetings across all venues. The aggregate scoreline across that period of time is 40-11. They go top tonight with a win, don't they? And over Sporting after that dodgy draw that we then read about yesterday. There's a minus 7 goal difference in favour of Sporting, so I think Benfica are going to want to eat into that as and when they can. So I don't think they'll rest on their laurels as such. So Estoril, 12th in the table, no win away from home from 6 attempts so far. The most comparable game so far this season, they went to Porto and lost 4-0. And Benfica lost on match day 1, started the season terribly, but since then won 11, drawn 2 of their 13 games, and they've won all 7 at home, scored 23 goals, only conceded 3, cleared his handicap in 5 of their 7. So it's not something that would worry them too much, including 4 of the last 5. So I'm prepared to take that on in a league that is not my speciality. Minus 2.5 at minus 104.
This could actually be a really good title race in Portugal for those who looked at the table.
Looks like it.
It could be a genuine 3-way battle this season. Sporting, Porto, Benfica up there. Team in 5th, Santa Clara from the Azores Island. Shame they're not playing today. We could have had all sorts of puns about them, couldn't we? With Christmas on the road. Yeah. There's a team in Finland called Santa Claus FC, I think, as well. For those who are after.
Is Roque Santa Cruz still playing? We could get on him as well. Anyone else?
He's an absolute legend.
Get your puns in.
Get your puns in.
Florence,
on,
Nigel.
I've not seen you for ages. How's my ankle? It's better. It's about 90 to 95% now. It had a good workout at the Cube on the because we win night out a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, it's getting there, Florence. Thank you very much. Henry VIII, great to see you as well. Michele
Big
says,
names coming in again today.
Fiorentina win and Guimarães win. We are thinking so alike here, Michele.
Yeah.
It's, great minds, isn't it? Right.
Felix is going for a job at Because We Win, because with that kind of pun. Look at that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Look at this. We're getting them all in today.
That could be one of Dan Roebuck's burner accounts. He's got a few.
Right, now this is where I've got to look back at these. I asked Jack for a couple of exclusive plays for Boxing Day, and he's come back with literally 6 or 7 bets. So he absolutely has done his homework here on some Boxing Day. Now remember, you'll be able to watch the Premier League show for the next round, including the Boxing Day fixtures. That is, I think, if it's not already released, it will release at the end of this show's done. So that's Dan, Jack, and Nigel. But lower league, tell us what you got then, Jackie. I mean, we've got several plays. We've got a plus 700 shout as well involved here. Let's start with the Championship. You got Sheffield United against Burnley, Leeds against Stoke against Leeds. What are you thinking of those two?
Yeah, the reason I've got so many, by the way, is Nigel did ask me to put up a tip in the newsletter. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the newsletter yet, make sure you get subscribed. Some stunning content on every Monday that comes out, doesn't it? So that'll come direct into your inbox, into your email. So if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to that. Loads of different sports. Steve, you've got a pick coming up this weekend, haven't you? Or this week? So
another future pick. Stuff.
Yeah. There it is. There is the link. Get involved in that. So yeah, I put a shortlist together. The main pick is not in this shortlist. It's in the newsletter only because it is exclusive. But I've gone with Sheffield United to beat Burnley. Not often you're going to get Sheffield United at plus money. The reason for that is Burnley are a decent side. I'll keep these exclamations brief, but the bet is Sheffield United to beat Burnley at plus 128. A top of the table clash, 11 unbeaten for Sheffield United. At home, they're sensational. They've had 9 successive clean sheets now. And so only dropped points on their first game of the season at home. Really, really kicking in under Chris Wilder, who is a Sheffield United fan. And that shows. And they've got a massive opportunity against Burnley, who I've not been massively impressed with over the last 2 or 3 weeks. They drew at home to Derby. They were quite fortunate to get a win against Norwich away, and a couple of other results as well that dropped that way. And I think Sheffield United are the better side. So, yeah, taking them to win at plus 128.
Anthony Hopkins, happy holidays to you as well. Go easy on us. Do you send the newsletter to the North Pole as Santa Claus? Okay. Sheffield United, I mean, they're a boring team, aren't they? But they do get the job done. Stoke Leeds. Now, I think Leeds, I don't like what Leeds do away from home sometimes, but I think we could go there and spank them a bit silly, to be honest, Jack. I think Stoke are awful for me. And you've got an angle on this game which you think is well worth taking.
Yeah, same one. This is what we talked about earlier, really. We've got a side that are big minus money favourites to win. Leeds have got a very good defensive record. So I'm adding it's effectively Leeds to win to 0, but on the BetRivers website, if you go onto the same game parlay, and you can either select both teams to score no or under 0.5 Stoke goals for this, and it will get you a boost on the price to plus 132. Stoke no winning 8. They lost 4 of the last 5, including at the weekend where they were against 10 men while it was 0-0. Sheffield Wednesday, and Sheffield Wednesday beat them 2-0. And as far as Leeds are concerned, they've won 9 of the last 13, and they've won 13 of 22 games this season. But the key element is that 10 of those wins have come to 0. So when they normally win, they normally keep a clean sheet as well, as you know.
Yeah. Well, it's often Leeds win to 0, isn't it? It's been a good bet for a lot of people. It's cashed them well. We actually lost at Stoke last year, I think 1-0, but this version of Stoke is not a very good one.
Yeah. They've got Narcis Palak in charge, who's his first job as a manager. He's been assistant manager at 2 or 3 clubs, Huddersfield, Norwich, then took the leap to go and become the manager there. And is struggling a little bit. And I say it's not the easiest job in the world either. So, I think Leeds have got their number there.
Is Parker the worst good manager in recent years? He could get his 3rd promotion in 3 seasons, but he remains unconvinced as Felix. And I think a lot of people, including the Burnley fans, are a bit unconvinced by him. He's a little bit of a conundrum, isn't he, Scott Parker?
Yeah.
don't know.
He gets the job done, but he's normally landed himself in decent jobs, hasn't he? In the Championship, the likes of Bournemouth, the likes of Fulham, he's been there, and you'd expect them to get promoted, and he kind of does it without really getting you off your seat. And I think, it's one of those managers that kind of is going to get you up there or thereabouts, but with the squads that he has, he normally should do. But as I said, if you were to be having him as your manager, you'd be like, really, be a bit nonplussed by it. So I think there's fair from Felix.
Still got your plus 700 play to come soon, but we go to League One now, and you're going up north. You're going right up north here for 2 games. Bolton Barnsley and Huddersfield against Stockport. And you are liking the home team in both the games, roughly around even money for both.
Yeah, Bolton minus 106. There's not a lot of love for Ian Evatt at the moment. He's just got a vote of confidence, which is not normally a good thing. But they've said that we aren't changing it. We've got full faith in him. The support aren't massively behind him, but they've got a decent home record. They won 4 on the spin prior to a 2-0 defeat at home to Wigan. And Barnsley have been poor. They're in a poor run of form at the moment. They just lost 4-0 at home to Leyton Orient. That's the 4th loss in 6, and I just think Bolton at home can get the job done in that one. Again, at a nice price. Not often you get them around that kind of price.
There's another one, Lincoln. I forgot Lincoln were in League One actually.
Michael Skubala.
Shrewsbury Lincoln is another bet you've got. And Lincoln minus money away favourites in this game. They're actually doing all right, aren't they? Lincoln, what's happened to them in recent years? They've really gone from nowhere to possibly. I mean. It could be a championship team next season.
They could be.
On this
so,
you like
around about this time? Yeah, around about this time last year, they took your youth team manager, Michael Skubala, went from Leeds Academy, under 18s, under 23s, I think it was. And he Scuba, yeah, that's him. And to you, Scoobs. And he it's too many Scooby-Doo puns going through my head there to crack on. But he went on a great run, and then they just fell short of getting promoted last season. So they're up in the playoffs this time around. I think they've got a good chance of being one of the lower sides to actually get there. Ian, inevitable. Wow, the puns keep coming. I tell you today, it must be Christmas spirit flowing. But Shrewsbury are awful. That's the basics of this one. They won 3, drawn 3 of 20 games this season. They're rock bottom. They lost 7 of their 10 at home. They lost 9 of the last 11 in all competitions. And Lincoln were on a bit of a rough run, but they got back to winning ways at the weekend with a 2-0 win. And they are a bit of a streak side. We saw it last season. I think we can see it this season. So minus 0.75 Asian handicap for me at plus 102 against the rock bottom Shrews.
Winston Churchill, happy Boxing Day. It's not Boxing Day quite yet, Winston, but happy holidays to you. And Felix makes a good point there about the Lincoln. I'll have to look into that. I can't believe how strong they've become, really. And Shrewsbury, just looking at their form, it's awful, isn't it? Actual European football was seen at their ground recently, where the New Saints were using it. I think Djurgården won there, the Swedish side, was it 2-0 or 2-1? But this version of Shrewsbury looks like League Two soccer than European soccer next season. We've got one more play for you on your Boxing Day sort of specials here, and the 0-0 detector is out. It's been a bit cold. The 0-0 detector came out yesterday, didn't it? In the Premier League, back in action. You're keeping it hot now. You've got a 0-0 correct score in a match that you like in League One for Boxing Day. Which game?
Indeed, yeah. I think the 0-0 detector's come out of the Natural History Museum and is going to be buried at Goodison Park following their recent scorelines. But I'm going with League One here. Stevenage against Wycombe. Stevenage are a side that are pretty ugly. They're pretty direct. They're playing against the current league leaders. That might change, obviously, tonight. And so Wycombe are just stalled a little bit over the last few games. They've drawn 3 of their last 4. Both these sides drew 0-0 at the weekend. Stevenage aren't a side that give up many chances. And when they're playing the better sides, they're happy to try and grind out a 1-0. They focus a lot on set pieces, long throws, corners. They are a very direct side. Steve Evans was there last season, and it's kind of carried on this season. They've kept a pretty similar kind of philosophy, really. So I could see this one just being a bit of a real tough watch. there's actually anyone can get on cards in this one. There was a load of beef in this last season. Lots and lots. There was incidents on the pitch and off the pitch. Lots of insinuations, and this could be a bit feisty actually. But the bet is 0-0 at plus 700 as a hot dog to end the section here. So a bit of a long shot there to see if we can cash something big and juicy for Boxing Day.
Yeah, and if no goal scorer is available on the day, that is always the bet I want to take, of course, because it does include the own goal in there. Felix, no Turkish Super League coverage today. He fancies that double. Would have included it, but we can't pronounce the teams very well, so that's why we didn't put it on the list. But good luck if you are betting in Turkey today. Jack, you are back on the live show on the 30th. Me and you are going to be, so that will be your last live show appearance of the year. It includes Brighton away at Villa and Man United Newcastle that day. So some very tasty fixtures. But Jack, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for those extra plays for Boxing Day. We've gone through today's cards, and I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas as well, Jack.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's always a pleasure to be on board with you. Really enjoy these shows. Thanks everyone for all the comments, all the special guests that we have, and the celebrities is incredible. Happy Christmas to every single one of you. You do make the show what it is, and say thanks to all the subscribers. So happy Christmas to you. Have a great time with your friends, family, and loved ones. And Steve, yes, thank you very much indeed. Happy Christmas to you, my friend, and to your family. Have a very, very good time.
Simon's got a correct score pick before we go. 3-1 to Fiorentina. That will do us nicely. In fact, I might have a shackle or two on that, a shilling or two on that. Shakespeare's here as well. Happy holidays. Tomorrow, we do have a live show tomorrow on Christmas Eve. And, we've got RJ is going to be joining me, and we're going to look ahead to the Christmas Day NFL meetings. I'm also going to try and get a few Christmas soccer plays out of RJ. I'm sure he's got a few in his stocking for us. So do join us tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time for the Christmas Eve show. And then on Boxing Day, like I said before, set your alarm clock or whatever, 9:30 a.m. Eastern for a 2.5-hour bonanza live in play. Me and Nigel Seeley covering 5 Premier League games on Boxing Day and whatever else is on at the same time as well. There we might be looking at a few matches outside the Premier League. Who knows? See how it goes. But yeah, all the best today, everyone. Take care of yourself. Remember, gamble responsibly. And I'll see you tomorrow on Betting Weekly live with RJ. Take care.